Yo, what is going on, guys? Bexio back, and today we've got a brand new video with Bitcoin. The price continues to soar, holding well above 40,000 at 41 right now, and we can see it on this chart right here. This is the daily chart, so you see this just huge run up, and a lot of these lines here are short term or like short time period. Like resistance and support stuff, so a lot of them can get shattered pretty easily. But we see one right now that's holding up really well is this 41,000 right here, 41,017. So literally almost 41,000 on the dot. And we pumped up to right 42.5 and got, hit the resistance here, but actually bounced off of this. So this is a good sign for the price in the short term, like finding these supports and not really breaking them, like right here bouncing off. Right here we can see it bounce off. And the biggest thing we'd be looking for right now is to go over like right here, the previous like big green candle, this 42,471 would be a great sign to start going up, where all of these lines here don't really mean anything. Like there's not big resistance here or anything. There's like short time period stuff that would have happened, because I mean you can see these lines. I mean there's almost nothing going on this side or on this side. It's either going straight up or straight down, so not a lot you can tell here. But getting above 42,500 would be great to see it, blast back off to try to get all-time highs. Then be like 58,000 would be this next bigger resistance here. But there wouldn't be much from 42 to this 58. And the Bitcoin like thought process, where a lot of people would say Bitcoin's digital gold, and that was a big narrative, and people still do say that and believe that, and it very much is a great store of value. But there's more stuff turning towards Bitcoin being digital real estate, which is a much bigger turn for Bitcoin that I don't think a lot of people might even realize. I mean, obviously this is just saying actually something much more profound. Institution, I don't know, and realization of real property rights. It's the first time in history when people can essentially make their time and energy unconfiscatable. And comparing it to digital real estate, this has it right here. Dan held Bitcoin is a sexy store of value, will eat real estate for $200 trillion market cap. That's massive, because obviously we can take this and we'll look. First, we'll do gold and see that gold's about $11 trillion. So another comma, thousand million billion trillion. We got $11 trillion for the gold market. And even if you do all of Bitcoins, which is 21 million, which obviously we're not going to hit till about 2140, so 2140 that year. So you could do it way less than that, but that's like the lowest stuff. That would put Bitcoin at $523,809, which isn't super, like realistic, because obviously it hits that faster. I would say 19.5 is more like around coins that'll be there when we're at like these milestones, and that's like a $564,000 Bitcoin, and that seems great, and that's real great. But if you look at the real estate market, $200 trillion, which I think it's 280 trillion now, but we'll go off the 200 trillion that's here. So you see this is $200 trillion, and we can do the same thing, do the 21 million coins, even though that's way in the future, and hitting 200 trillion will probably happen before hitting 21 million Bitcoin. But let's just say that would put each Bitcoin at $9.5 million. And if you do 280 trillion, which is the real estate market cap right now, but if you take that 280 trillion and do the exact same thing, this can give you like an upper bound of things to see. That's a $13 million Bitcoin, which would be actually probably closer to something like a $14.3 million Bitcoin, because we're not going to hit 21 million coins until over 100 years, 120 years about. So we're probably going to be hitting these type of price milestones before hitting maximum Bitcoins out, as well as there's Bitcoins that are lost forever. So that brings the value up even higher over time. But this narrative of switching from store of value, or from like digital gold, where gold's market cap's 11 trillion. People compare that and say, is it 10x better than gold? So a lot of people say Bitcoin's 10x better than gold, so it's a $110 trillion market, which makes sense. All of the points add up. You can also do the same thing for real estate and say Bitcoin's comparable to real estate because there's only so much. You cannot get more Bitcoin over 21 million. You cannot get more land over what's on Earth already. So, but there is gold being mined every single day, and it keeps being mined. There's no cap. We don't know how much gold is out there, but we do know how much land there is. We do know how much Bitcoin there ever be. So that's why there's like this narrative switching to real estate, which I think is a great thing to look at and brings more value to Bitcoin. As you can see, it can be priced between 9 million to 14 million per coin at a real estate value of 200 trillion to 280 trillion, which makes sense to compare Bitcoin to real estate and give it those properties. And then here's some just more resistance. This is like the simple way of looking at it. This chart's insanely blurry, but basically this line is about where we're at, about 41,000, and this other line, upper bound, is closer to 43,000. And then you can see there's no other lines here that he has drawn, and this is like the emptiness of resistance. So where I have a bunch of lines on small time periods, this one's focused on the daily, and you can see not much going on up here after we can break these levels and get above 42. That's going to be insane. This chart as well right here, obviously the same thing, same type of like talk here, but different podcast. 42,000 the number. If that breaks, very little resistance above until 50k, so that'd be where it hits. And this is the downtrend line from the top, 64, about almost 65,000 to this right here, and then like that you just draw a straight line. And right now we are getting above and challenging this line, this downtrend. And if we can break it, that's super bullish. And like they said, there's nothing really until 50,000, this level right here, where there could be any resistance. So we could just rocket up to 50k if it happens to break this and stay above this, as well as this line. Even if we just stay at 41,500 like we are right now, in a few days, that will be enough to be above that line, and then you could, get more technical and see if it bounces off this line and stuff. But just staying in this level still does leave us above the trend line over time, over a couple days even, not even that long. And the last thing about Bitcoin is a lot of people think Bitcoin's held by a few amount of people. The whales control everything, and people, it's not dispersed enough. But this chart right here actually does show that it is very wrong. Obviously, this is saying biggest misconceptions about Bitcoin is its supply consolidates into the hands of a few. So just a bunch of whales. People think whales control everything. But this does show you, like, there's been an explosion of these different people who hold Bitcoin. Purple lines 1 through 10 Bitcoin. And then even these are much smaller Bitcoin amounts. You can see 0.01 to 0.1. And then you have this getting much more into the decimals, 0.001 to 0.01. You get even lower, and then less than 0.001. But all of these smaller people who are holding Bitcoin, who can be considered strong hands if they don't sell, have the same effect as like a whale could. And over time, they have been growing and are at very high levels. So whales do not control enough Bitcoin to really impact the price or get into it, or try and dump it or pump it. They can pump it, and they can pump and dump. They can do it both, but there are enough retail investors, normal people who are holding Bitcoin, where you can't collapse the network or collapse the price. Like we just saw, we got super high up, and whales started selling, and bad news and tons of FUD, and everything that could have went wrong for Bitcoin, and the lowest it got to was 28,000. So didn't go back to 20k, didn't go back to the teens or single digits or go worthless like a bunch of bears were saying. It just got to 28,000, bounced off, and now we're rocketing back up, and the bears have been very silent. So guys, that's going to do it for this video about Bitcoin. Just interesting little facts here. We're at a pretty good pretty big point of Bitcoin to kind of say, this is an easy moment where we could rocket up if we just continue to stay where we are and stay above that downtrend line, and then eventually either bounce off of it or continue this run up into very little resistance zones until we hit that 50K mark. And then before you know it, we'll be making new all-time highs, and it'll be a great time for everyone, and the bears will continue to be quiet. But as always, guys, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. I'll see you guys in my next video.